Welcome to a recent Reads in July. So book number 1 is Meet You in the Middle by Devon Daniels. It came out February 2nd, 2021. This was a huge, oh, it's so cute. It was a political story, hate to lovers trope, and it was set in Washington, D.C. It seemed set during the last presidency, so it was very divisive. And you got these two characters on the opposite side of the aisles. And one of them is like, staunchly like, I'm not going to cross over to the other side of the aisle even if this guy is like gorgeous and charming, and the other one is kind of like, why? I don't really care, this is just the policy I believe in. For me, I had honestly prejudice going into this book because, or bias, not prejudice, I would say bias, because for me, opposite side of the aisle is not a thing to me. Is that not that big of a deal to me? I grew up doing like reading history, doing speech and debate. I grew up with parents who are on the opposite side of the aisle. My husband's on the opposite side of the aisle as me. I grew up with people on the same side of the aisle as me, which I wholeheartedly disagreed with the way they did policies. So me and my husband are very similar valued, very, very similar valued. We just approach policy completely differently. So for me, I was a little biased going into the book, having this set as the premise of the book, that you cannot date or marry on the opposite side of the aisle. It's just kind of like, meh, when are we going to get past this? When is something else going to happen? But it was such a cute rom-com. I thought both them scenes were cute. The guy was so charming and so sweet. The girl was a little bit annoying to me, probably because of that bias. But I did love all the politics it brought up, which is like the general politics about tax. And that was the only other thing, was like, the liberal side versus the conservative side. They would mention stuff on the liberal side, but then they wouldn't go in depth on the conservative. They would just state the conservative side, but wouldn't go in depth as much, which I found kind of a little weird, because I was supposed to be for the guy, because the guy was like, hey, let's not talk about this. Let's talk about other things in life. But it seemed a little one-sided in some ways. But I thought it was really cute. Oh, wow, my lights just blinked. I thought it was really cute. I really loved it. It was an enemies to lovers trope, of course. In the end, I think I gave it a 3 out of 5. Maybe I gave it 3.5, 4 out of 5, because I truly did enjoy it. So it was a high, definitely a high 3. It wasn't like a 3 that was like, meh, take it or leave it. But it was a high 3. Like, I really enjoyed this story. But it kind of fell flat because I was a bit biased, but also the plot was completely predictable, like super predictable plot. So if it had something unique to the plot, I think it would definitely have been a 4 out of 5 for me. I really had fun with it and loved it. I know a lot of people have issues with this book, but personally I didn't. But the next book is Before I Saw You by Emily Houghton. This came out in May. This was a cute catch me by surprise book. It was about two people who were in tragic accidents. One got severely burnt, and so she hides kind of from the rest of the world in the hospital and is behind this curtain, and then the guy lost his leg. So they're both coming over very traumatic events. They're both going through huge mental issues of being alone in the hospital, and yeah, they get to know each other, the ugly parts, the happy parts, and they're the ones that bring each other happiness. And then also, you know, when points come that are really hard to deal with, they see kind of the uglier side to them. So it was Before I Saw You. They get to know each other so much, and it's such a cute little story. I loved it. It caught me by surprise how much I enjoyed it and liked it, and how easy it was and quick to. The next one was You Have a Match by Emma Lord. I think I read Tweet Cute by her last year, and that made me pick this up. This came out in January this year. Tweet Cute was so cute and adorable. It was like this Tweet Twitter war. But this one is like a DNA thing. I've read so many DNA books this year. So many. But this one was a DNA thing where somebody found out they had like a sibling that they didn't know about, and like why. It was like a full-fledged sibling. Why would my parents give up this random sibling in my family who would turn out to be the oldest? So she goes. They both have done the DNA things. They know about each other. They plan to meet up at a camp and lie to their parents. One girl is completely different. The eldest girl, she's very, very strict about the way she wants to do things, where the other girl is very, very free. But yeah, it obviously causes huge troubles between the families because they weren't supposed to have any communication or connection. But the girls want to get to know each other, of course. There's troubles communicating between the two because they've been raised completely different, yet they are similar because of their biological backgrounds. And so I thought it was really fun and cute, but also a little bit forgettable of a plot line. There was nothing I really loved truly about these two characters. So for me, it was just kind of middle of the road. I didn't love it like I loved Tweet Cute, but I'll definitely read more YA Contemporary by Emma Lord. I enjoyed the story. I didn't hate it. It was just kind of middle of the road for me. But I don't want to dig it out of the piles that it's in. But it's To Sir Philip with Love by Julia Quinn. I bought this book, was so excited about it because it's the Eloise story. But I didn't end up loving it. Eloise is quite the standout character if you've seen Bridgerton. She's quite her own person. But in the book, it's written off in the very beginning like, oh, my best friend got married and everybody else is married, so why don't I get married? And to me, Eloise being Eloise, that's not a good enough reason at all. But the whole storyline is she loves writing correspondence, and she writes correspondence to somebody who lost their wife, who she knew. And they end up having a correspondence for about a year, and then he says, why don't you come out and see if we're a good match to get married, basically. And so she goes out there with the intention to marry this man, and because everybody else has got married. That is a storyline I didn't believe. Yeah, so, and then the groom ended up falling flat on the page for me. I loved Eloise through the whole thing, so that made me love the story, but in the end, this was not one of my favorite Bridgerton stories. This one is Twice as Shy by Sarah Hogle. This came out April of this year. I love Sarah Hogle. I put her book as like my #1 read last year, You Deserve Each Other. It was so adorable and cute. This book was also adorable and cute. It fell flat a little bit for me, but it's about these two people who are shy. One of them leads like this more conservative life. He's a groundskeeper. He's a very manly man, and he wants to build like this animal rescue. And then this girl who's very shy and like has let people walk all over her whole life inherits this huge house from her aunt, and it's inherited split with this guy who her aunt really loved, who was the groundskeeper. So they have two different visions. She wants to do an inn and like bake foods and give people foods and run a coffee shop, and he wants to run an animal sanctuary. So obviously it's like a bit of an enemies lovers, but there's all these adorable cute scenes in this book that I'd go ahead and read it, but in the end I didn't love it, didn't hate it. It was just okay, pretty predictable, but I love the writing still. Definitely going to read more by Sarah Hogle. Paris Library is about the American librarian in Paris, and it's by Jeanette Skills Charles, and it came out in February. This was a good historical read that came out this year that people really, really enjoyed, and I really enjoyed it. It was such a fast and easy read. It's about two people, one in the present, more in the 1980s. Her name's Lily, and then Odell, who is set during the World War II at the American Library in Paris. So she works there, and she's worked really, really hard to get in there, loves reading, loves books. So it's kind of what happens to the library, what happens to a library during war. And the author did so much research on it. It feels pretty true to what actually happened. So I loved the author's notes at the end. It reads really quickly for historical novels. If you're looking for one, I would check this one out. It was fun. I did a full review on it though, which I'll link up above. Was a retelling. I love a good retelling. This was A Kiss in Time by Alex Flinn. It is a Sleeping Beauty retelling about a girl who like lives in Europe 300 years ago. It is going to be a princess. They know about the spindle. They know about the fairies. And obviously she pricks her finger, wakes up 300 years later to this American teenage boy. This is so cringeworthy. It is so YA. YAs would love this. I didn't love it, but it was just so easy to read, so fast, so fun. It is a good Sleeping Beauty retelling. I don't usually love Sleeping Beauty, but it's very true to the course of the storyline, and it's about a girl from 300 years ago coming to live in America for like a week, and yeah, just like a cute little story. Number 8 is The Worst Best Man by Mia Sosa. This came out in February. So this was a hate to love plot about a girl who gets jilted at the altar, and she gets jilted by her brother's, her fiance's brother coming to tell her that her fiance is not showing up. So she like hates her fiance's brother. Of course, years later, they get mixed up again, and he's like, whoa, 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 I'm not my brother, kind of thing. And there's just something about him. I was biased about this storyline. Totally. I cannot. It was just too cringy for me to like date your fiance's brother. I can't go there. That's just. So the whole time I was not rooting for this couple. It was a hate to love trope. It was done so well. It was so cute. There's a lot of adventures going on. The MCs are good. I just couldn't get behind it. It was just such a fun and easy plot, but in the end as well, it wasn't super memorable. I had to go and refresh myself on who these characters were and what they were about and what they were doing in the story. So it wasn't super memorable in the end, but it is such a cutesy, easy to light read. Like, I would suggest it for a summer read to people, especially if you don't have qualms of dating your fiance's brother. But yeah, let's move on to book number 9 and 10. We're just going to combine them to hurry up here. Not to hurry up, but just kind of wrap it up. But they were The Elite and The One by Kiera Cass. I went and reread the Selection series because I read them like 1.5 of the books and was not enjoying them a long time ago when they came out. And I set them down and then I collected them and I was like, why did I collect these? I didn't really love them. And I was like, you know what? Other people really love them. I'm going to give them a second go around. And I really enjoyed them. So The Elite and The One is like the top tiers of the Selection story. The Selection is like a group of girls who get picked to go and marry a prince, and this girl doesn't want to go. She's in love with another guy, but she ends up there because she's coerced, kind of blackmailed into going. But then the story, it turns out so cute. So this is just like, you know, the elimination rounds, kind of like the Bachelor elimination rounds. But I thought it was so cute in the end. It was such an easy, fun YA read. I would highly suggest it for YA readers. Maybe not adult, but YA readers. I think would really enjoy it and like it. I don't know why I didn't get along with it the first time around. Really enjoyed it and liked it. But that's all for me in recent reads. If you enjoy wrap-ups, give this a thumbs up and subscribe down below. And I will see you guys in the next one. See you guys next time. Bye!